So this is the Combat Station. I'm your host, Tam Matthews, and today we have a special guest on who recently just got his first UFC win, Preston Parsons. How you doing, mate?
Doing good. Just enjoying the weather. It's beautiful here in Florida.
Now, mate, let's get right into it. So you got a win over a undefeated fighter in Evan Elder, and it was quite a dominant victory. Where do you believe you sit in the division, and how would you rate your performance?
I think I did pretty good. I give myself an 8 out of 10, maybe. I definitely showed some areas to improve, made some little mistakes, kind of like being on my back within the first, 30 seconds of the fight. But I definitely just beat an undefeated guy. I know he was new to the UFC. I feel like I belong in the top 10, or I could definitely be a contender in the top 10, if not a champion one day. But right now, I know after that win, it was a guy that's new to the UFC. I'm still a newer guy, so I'm not quite sure where I sit in the rankings. But I'm ready to fight again ASAP as soon as my hand's healed and get a number next to my name.
Did you get a hand injured in the fight?
Yes, yeah, I broke it right next to my index finger. But I got surgery last week on Thursday, so I'll be probably back to punching in 8 weeks.
Is there any certain names you want, or whoever the UFC give you your fight?
I've been recently, especially since I've been injured, trying to follow the 170 division a little bit better than I was in the past. But no, I'm not nobody in particular. I may try to sit down and look a little closer to find a guy that I like as far as like stylistically and matchup wise for my next fight once my hand's healed up.
Have they told you when your hand will be healed up, and when is the ideal, what is the ideal length of time to return?
They said 12 weeks before I could punch again. I had a similar surgery on my right hand about a year ago. So I'd say 8 weeks, and I'll be kind of lightly punching again. And then 12 weeks, I'll be punching full speed. Then after that, maybe 8-week fight camp. So I'm looking around like October.
Okay. And before this fight, you had a loss to Daniel Rodriguez. What did you take from that loss that did help you improve going into this fight?
I'm just take it more serious, kind of be more focused like I was in my previous fights before the UFC. Getting to the UFC has always been my dream. So when I finally got there, it was like a dream come true. I felt like I was in a movie, kind of stargazed by everything. So this last fight, I was more focused. I was there for one reason, it was to beat Evan, and I performed a lot better than I did in the Dan Rodriguez fight.
Now, this was obviously your first decision win. Are you happy with getting a decision win, and does that show the improvements in your game, do you believe?
I'm happy with that fight. It was my first decision, so it was fun. I got to go the full 15 minutes after the fight was over, took a deep breath, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But I'm always looking to get guys out of there. Even in that fight, I knew coming into the third round that I was up, and I probably had won the fight, at least the first 2 rounds. So, and even after that, I was still looking for those head arm chokes. I was looking to get him to stop with the ground and pound. He was tough. He didn't really give me a chance to settle when I was on top and mount, constantly hip escaping, going from side to side. So kudos to him. But no, I'm always looking for the finish. So my next fight won't be a decision.
Just out of interest, where do you rate your jiu-jitsu in the division? Because obviously all your victories are by submission, except this one. But where would you rate your jiu-jitsu in the division?
I think it's up there, especially watching some of the other 7-years. I see holes in their game, and I believe I'm one of the greatest strikers too. I have good striking, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling, but I'd rate my jiu-jitsu pretty high compared to all the other welterweights.
Did you watch the UFC pay-per-view this past weekend?
Oh, yes, definitely. That was a really cool card.
Now, what did you feel about the main event with Oliveira? Obviously, he missed weight, but he's knocked down and submitted Gaethje. What did you think of his performance? Where did you rate him?
I think Oliveira is very dangerous. He's one of the best fighters, I think, in the UFC as far as being well-rounded. Jiu-jitsu is dangerous, stand-up, scary. He's good everywhere. I'm a big Justin Gaethje fan, so I was kind of rooting for Gaethje, but I knew he had a tall task ahead of him with Charles Oliveira. And I do watch the 55 division a lot too, because there may be a chance I drop back down to 55 later on in my career. That's where all my amateur fights were, and my first few pro fights were at 155. But then kind of getting older, the 70 cut's a little bit easier for me. 65, they made a 165 division. That's where I'd be.
That's Eagle FC, isn't it? 165. Well,
I believe so. I believe they do. I think there's a few other organizations that have introduced it.
As well, co-main event, Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza. Some will say the most boring fight in UFC history. What did you think of the fight? And can I ask, what goes through someone? Do you know what goes through someone's head when, not throwing punch? What do you think was going through Rose's head with the lack of volume?
Um, I knew she obviously they both wanted to win that fight. I wasn't very entertained by the whole thing. I like Rose Namajunas is probably my favorite girl fighter, so I was definitely glued to the TV while she was fighting. It wasn't super eventful. I think she should have opened up a little bit more, especially towards the end. She shut down the takedowns, and I think Carla Esparza is good, but I don't think she's gonna destroy Rose anywhere. So I think she could have let go with the hands, not worried too much about the takedown, and kind of made it a little more eventful. Better fight, better show for everybody. But I get it. Like, she wants to win the fight. She's the champion. She's been doing it longer than I have, and has more fights than I do. So she wanted to win. And usually you have to get the champ out of there. So that could have been going through their mind, that you have to finish the champ to get the belt, and they didn't. Won on decision. A close one. It's hard to judge that fight.
Yeah, no, 100%. And finally, on the card, we had Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. Now, Tony looked great early on, and then Chandler got a front kick.
That was amazing. Everybody I think that I was around jumped out of their seat when that happened. And Ferguson was doing good. I believe the first round looked like he was doing pretty well, kind of like a similar fight style that he always does. And then Chandler, I just guess, got comfortable, because that's not even a strike that he really throws.
Do you think Tony should continue fighting? Because obviously he did look good in that fight, but that knockout was something else. Do you feel he should continue?
If he does, I would tune in to watch. And I know all the people I hang out with would definitely, all my training partners, we all like Tony Ferguson. So if he did fight again, I would definitely watch. I guess it's hard to say. I've never really been knocked out like that ever. And he's definitely taken some beatings his past few fights, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Health wise, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. So, but if he believes that he's fine and he can fight again, then I would definitely tune in to watch him fight. So yes, I hope he fights again.
Just out of interest, how long do you plan to fight for in your career? How long do you see yourself fighting for? What is the plan?
As long as I can. I definitely want to beat some of the top ranked guys right now, get to a title fight, and I want to win the title and I want to defend it. And as long as I'm healthy, there's fighters fighting into their mid 40s and everything, and I'm still in my mid 20s, so I still have a lot of time. And they say you hit your peak in your early 30s as far as like physically, and like wrestlers say. So I think I'm fighting for a good 10 more years.
Could you see yourself as one of them fighters in their 40s still fighting, or do you believe maybe you'll just hang it up when you've done enough in your career, you feel?
And I think I'll be one of those older guys still fighting. You're still competing. I'll definitely still be training, but I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. I mean, we have guys in the gym that are twice my age that still train, so they can do it, I can do it. And maybe not as high of competitive level like the UFC title fights, but maybe still doing some fights, and hopefully I'll make a good name for myself by then. But who knows? I may still be taking it serious, and I think I'll still be hungry at that age to be the champion.
Maybe we have a Randy Couture 2.0 on our hands here.
That's right. Yes, sir.
But anyway, we'll probably just wrap up in a minute because I have something coming up. But I was going to quickly ask you, mate, any message for your fans, and what can we expect next?
The message is thank you all for supporting me. I have a lot of good friends and family, a lot of great training partners around me. A quick shout out to Trey Waters, Steve Kozlow, Kuba Kashuba, some of the top pros at my gym, and they belong in the UFC just like I do. They're just as much as I do. Those guys beat my butt every day. But no, thank everybody for the support. And my next fight, you can expect similar to the last fight, but with a finish, a little more volume on my feet, and a little more hard, heavy strikes with ground and pound.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure having you on here. And I do hope you keep improving in your career, and hopefully we have you back on air at some point.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
So, all right, mate, this has been the Combat Station. This was Preston Parsons, and we are out.